Okay, guys, this is going to be my review of American Ninja Warrior Season 12 Semifinals 1. I really enjoyed this episode. Going to this, I was very skeptical of this episode because I knew semifinals, they tend to show a lot less runs and a lot more mid runs. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of those, like, mid runs or whatever. And I was very nervous because, like, when you look at, I think there was 28 ninjas competing, but they're like the best, you know. It's such a stacked field. Jesse LeBrecq, Jody Avila, Daniel Gill, you know, and all the list goes on. Jamie Ron, Jake Murray, and Graham McCartney, and Flip Richard, on and on and on and on. And you just go and you're skeptical because you're like, how are they gonna show that? Unless they give a slew of mid runs, like this guy in the mid run, this guy, and a bad course, and interesting and stuff like that. But no, I was actually surprised at actually how much they were able to show in. And honestly, the mid runs didn't really bother me because there was three of them. There was Jamie Ron, there was Daniel Gill, there was Jake Murray. They didn't bother me because it's like, what I hated about the mid runs in the past were they were gonna mid run the finishers. But what was weird is, okay, we're never gonna see someone complete all 10 obstacles. But here, that itch was scratched when they showed Tyler Gillette and Cam Baumgartner, who finished the course and got full runs. So I mean, on top of that, and honestly, what shocked me as well is Matisse going first, because that was shocking. Because, like, what was weird about the season, I talked about this in depth in my qualifying Night 4 review. But what was so weird this episode was they just, like, and just this whole season, they acted as if Matisse was not, like, one of the biggest names out of these past couple of seasons. Because you look at last season, the season before, everybody's like, top ninjas competing. Matisse is the best. Like everybody's like, Matisse, top ninja, top ninja, top ninja. Best of the best, best of the best. And you go into this season, and yes, he isn't moving on and stuff like that. And he, obviously in night one, didn't really get top 2 times. Or Mag also didn't really do great. I mean, he hit the buzzer, and then this episode fell on Kern, what is it? Corn style. Whatever, the twist obstacle. But what was weird, they acted as if he's not like when you think of top ninjas the past couple of years, you think of Matisse, one of them. So showing him first was just a weird thing. They're just like, yeah, and here's Matisse's run. Whereas you think of Matisse as one of those like show-stopping final runners type things, even though he didn't do a fantastic. And maybe they showed him first just to kind of show how difficult the corn, what is it? Corn screw obstacle is, the twist obstacle. They just wanted to show how hard the twist obstacle was. But his run was fast, and he kind of missed. Yeah. And I was surprised when they said that more than like 13 ninjas made it to the dungeon. It surprised me because when you see it, you didn't think that, but when you start to, it's just weird because when they say, 13 ninjas made it to the dungeon, you're like, wait, what? But then when you start to think 5 finishers and Jackson Twait, and then you think of Jim Moran and Flip and Jesse and Donovan and Chris Ganji, and you start to think, you're like, actually, it makes sense that 12 ninjas made it to that point. So, yeah, I enjoyed it because I just enjoyed it. And great stories, Tyler Gillette, Cam, Baumgartner, who else? Who was these? Sandy Zimmerman, and just a great course, some cool, unique obstacles where you talk about clockwork, rub tire, burn rubber, or just all the obstacles. Makes a really great and innovative course. On top of some great runs where you talk about Tyler Gillette, Cam Baumgartner, what's his face, Daniel Gill, Jake Murray speeded through that course, and Jody Avila and Jesse LeBrecq. And what's weird is how many ninjas they're able to show, considering it's not like they went that fast. Like, the fastest time was 4 minutes and something seconds. So it's not like they even went that fast. So, like, when you say, like, oh, what makes it, what made them show more runners compared to other seasons, I don't know. I just think in general, maybe it's because in general people went faster. I don't know. But, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I think. And, like, they fast forward Flip Rodriguez and Adam Rail, but you didn't even feel like you missed them. The one thing I will say, they showed Jake Murray mid-run, where he was a minute into his course. But then you think about his dumb profile piece. That was all filler. Why they, like, what I don't get is they're like, come on. Because it's like, what do people prefer? Maybe it's just a personal thing. Like, come on, you could show a full run, you know? Because it's like you see Jake Murray and you're like, yeah, Jake Murray, and then they're like, oh, he's mid run. But because it's one thing when you show just a mid run, but it's another thing when you show a mid run and a profile piece. Because all you can just think when they're showing them on the course halfway through, you're just like, all you had to do was not have a. And it's one thing when it's like this, you know, crazy, interesting or a motivational backstory or whatever, but this is just about him being friends with Hunter Gerard and Kyle Soderman and going caving. That's really worth because that profile piece was long enough that if you took that out, you could have given Jake Murray a full run, because he went like it's not, you're acting as if he went slow for those first couple of obstacles. But I didn't care, you know. The back half is the main event. You know, the back half is what you care about. So it's like seeing, at least you got to see the full back half, and he did good. And I think also what shocked me is Jamie Ron falling, because I think, and honestly, what shocked me is how many ninjas fell on the dungeon. Because, I don't know, I just felt like that move of going across pegs inverted or whatever, or going across nunchucks, because ultimately going up their pegs, going across is nunchuck, and the dungeon is such an innovative obstacle. I think that obstacle is better than the corkscrew, because corkscrew is one of those obstacles that you're like, when you think about the design, how it works, you're like, it's one of those obstacles where you think that's so obvious, but yet no one's made it before, like, as far as an obstacle. Because, like, the idea of, okay, you go from a kind of a wheel that spins and goes down to another wheel that spins and goes down, another wheel spins and goes down. And you're like, how have they never done that before? And type thing. But it's a weird, shocking run. What would I say? Yeah, I just thought this was a very great episode. Because, like, going in, I had tons of worries, because they had so much top ninjas. And I was worried because in this loaded field, you worry because there's so much talent. How are you going to feature them? And honestly, to my shock and surprise, they really did a great job with handling that. Nick Hansen, you would think Nick Hansen didn't complete because he didn't get in the top, 12 in qualifying. No, I think there's like a rule, if you make the mega wall, you could move on. It's because I believe he A, either contracted COVID, or B, because he was with someone who had COVID. Yeah, I heard that, so that's true. He didn't compete because of that. Then Ethan Swanson ran in night 2 of qualifying, so I thought he would be in this episode. I guess they're saying Ethan Swanson in the next episode. So, telling you, Julius Ferguson didn't compete because he got COVID, and then his teammates didn't compete, which is weird because Julius Ferguson was on Drew's team, Drew Joshua's team. So what I thought was weird was just that, because when I look at the top 12 on the leaderboard, what I'm looking for is if a female is the final person on the top 12. Because the problem is you can't fake it. You can't be like Jamie Ron moved, because Jamie Ron ended up in 12th. But you can't be like Jamie Ron moved on, but he didn't compete the next step. So it's like when you do the leaderboard, it has to be sincere. So what they did was, so when it says Jamie Ron in 12th, he actually came in 12th. Meaning, Drew didn't move on. Because it has to equate to that. Because like in qualifying, for example, they put Taylor Johnson in the top 12. She wasn't in the top 12. It was, the person who's really in leaderboard says 11th. They were really 12th. So, like, what I was looking for is Jesse LeBrecq in the 12th spot. Because I'm saying that because the whole point is that you can't be like, here's your top 12. And then, you know what I mean? Where you can't be like, this is your top 12 when one of them didn't compete. So they had to do a top 12 with everyone competes. But they're not going to add a male because if my point, what I'm trying to say is they have the top 12. If, for example, if Drew was in the top 12, they couldn't make whoever got in the 13th place in the leaderboard because they didn't compete in the next episode. That would be too confusing. So what they do is they have the woman that's competing that didn't end up in the leaderboard. So in this case, it would have been Jesse, because Jesse LeBrecq finished in 13th, not 12th. So I was looking to see if she was put 12th. No, it was Jamie Ron. And then you have 12 other ninjas, and those other 12, 11 ninjas, they did move on. So my guess is, honestly, Black Jules, Julius Ferguson, Drew's teammate, got COVID. So in that level, in that respect, that might have been that he didn't compete. Now I heard rumors that Jamie Ron got COVID after that, so maybe he might not compete in the next round, which is crazy, but that's kind of like the reality of it. So that answers the question of why is Matisse and Kevin Bull in this episode? Because they were in this episode, right? They were in this episode because they were down a couple of ninjas. So they were like, let's throw in a couple from last week, from the second round. To be honest, they should have picked ninjas on an equal level of who they're replacing. So it makes sense. Nick Hansen, top level ninja. It makes sense. Okay, he can be replaced by a Kevin Bull type ninja. But then you look at Julius Ferguson. Is it worth taking Matisse out of that second round of competition? I don't know. But and maybe another thing is they moved around so that Ethan Swanson, because they have to move some from night 2 to night 1. Maybe their thinking is, okay, we'll give night 1 a couple top ninjas and we'll take out Ethan Swanson. Which is weird because on Ethan Swanson's Instagram, he says, you can catch me tonight on American Ninja Warrior. He wasn't on tonight's episode. He's referring to this episode. So, it's weird. But, I really enjoy this. Point is, really enjoyed this episode. Really solid. I'm excited to see semifinals round 2. Stay tuned for more videos coming at you.